Welcome to the Gr8Nrthrn Sexcast. Colleen, Bertino, it's episode 7 already.
Yay!
And we're going to call this one Real Social Media because we have a special guest in studio. Introduce our friend.
This is Megan. She is well, she's one of the people, of course, that make me look good.
Awesome. We love those.
She's one of our store managers. She runs our northern and eastern stores, which means she spends a lot of time in a van. And when she's not in the van hauling stuff, she's doing most of our social media, which means the zillions of Facebook pages, Yelp pages, Pinterest pages. Let's see, there's Google Plus. There's I lost track. I mean, we were like over 30. We just attempted to add Instagram, and she had to shovel. Figure that one out because I screwed it up so much trying it a couple months ago.
Yeah.
She's like, did you try? Yeah, that was me. Did you? Yeah, that was me. This is what she did. So,
well, hello, Megan.
Hello,
and welcome. We're gonna, I'm good, and we're gonna go ahead and kind of get more into kind of your background and what the things that you do because there's a lot to talk about. And if you haven't checked out our Gr8Nrthrn Sexcast Facebook page, you've got to. I'm sorry, but it's becoming one of my favorite pages, and technically I'm listed as one of the administrators, but you're the one that puts all the funny stuff in there, and it just cracks me up. You're doing a great job. So Facebook, look for Gr8Nrthrn Sexcast and check us out. As we have started doing in our short life as a show, we got some news we need to catch up on this week. And the first thing is not particularly sex related, but there is a hole involved. Have you guys heard of the wonuts yet?
okay, is this just another thing covered in sugar? Because I mean that's good right there.
Pretty much. But I was thinking when I heard the name that Fantasy Gifts has got to somehow figure out something to do with a wonut. Like we're talking about like bachelor party stuff or bachelorette party things. I mean, a wonut just sounds like something that you'd get there. But what they actually are is waffles that are then deep fried and covered and decorated like donuts.
Amazing.
Yeah. And you should have seen, they had them on TV. I mean, and I don't even really eat donuts, but I'm wiping the drool.
Is this a Twin Cities thing or just
Chicago?
Oh, okay.
And they're starting to make their way, across because they're all neat, but
is it on a stick? Sorry, not to interrupt, but really,
no.
Whenever I think of anything coming to Minnesota.
Not yet.
Yeah, you have to put it on a stick.
When it gets here, it will be, I'm sure. But it was funny because, they looked really neat and they're probably, about the size, maybe a little bit bigger than the average donut, so it's not a huge Belgian size waffle, but they were putting like honorary holes in some of them just to, satisfy the donut aspect of the whole thing. But they were gorgeous. I could decorate with these things. They're really cool. That's the new thing that's going to make you crazy. Have you guys ever been, either one of you? And if you don't want to answer due to privacy concerns, I understand. Have you ever been to a nude beach?
Yeah.
Yeah? Was it fun?
It was naked people in Europe.
Okay.
And it didn't stay too long because most of my bits have not seen the sun.
Oh.
So the idea of the burned, boobies, it was not all that particularly appealing. But you were more out of place in a suit than you were out of a suit. And I'm just like, whatever.
Isn't that funny?
But I don't know. Bodies are bodies. That's just me.
Well, it does crack you up that you can walk around naked and be less noticeable than if you had on clothes. That is a real mind-jamming thing, but it's true. I've heard that. Well, one of the most famous Black's Beach is one of the most famous nude beaches in the United States. It's in San Diego, California. And I used to remember when I would take the train from Orange County down to San Diego and back, everybody would always go to that side of the train when we'd pass Black Beach. See if they could look. But there was a Cub Scout troop down there that went on a nature hike. Okay. And you know where this is going. And they ended up at Black's Beach and they continued the walk. I mean, they literally went by, got the full Monty and whatever chick version of that is. And when they got back, of course, the parents found out and they had a complete meltdown. And the leader said, listen, we followed Cub Scout code. There is no turning back. I'm like, really?
So they didn't notice this beforehand. It's this person just, I'm always been appalled that the idea of the human body is obscene.
Yeah.
That just drives me crazy all the time. And, it's one of the things that Megan has to deal with when we're deciding what to put on the social media, because I'm like, we sell body replica parts, but I, for the most part, tend to keep all the social media about PG-13.
Yeah.
because everybody wants my business, but nobody wants to promote it.
Yeah.
It's quite frustrating.
No, it is funny. Well, what cracks me up too is if anybody has any familiarity whatsoever with San Diego in particular, Black's Beach, everybody knows it's there. How in God's name did whoever walked them there did not know it was there? Just is like, really? And
like taking your toddlers to like Hidden Beach over on Cedar Lake,
right?
Yeah, is that
See,
something
and
like
then
that?
being mad that people are partying.
Yeah.
only far more famous even than that. And mentioning Europe, naked people in Europe, a recent survey, a companion story. I always find these weird parallels in news. When I see something, then all of a sudden 5 other things that remind me of it seem to come out of nowhere. But there was just a survey released. French women now, only 2% are willing to go topless on the French Riviera. Of all things, their mindset there has shifted to now where that's considered vulgar. So it's probably just Americans now over there letting the girls out. Isn't that weird?
That's really
Well,
weird.
yeah, well, everything changes, and if they were getting gawked at, I mean, if people were going there to
Just
see
to
the
see, yeah.
boobies, and
Yeah.
we're like,
If
then-
they were the sightseeing tourist attraction was their boobs, then
Yeah.
that could definitely turn you off.
So everybody else has to go down. In Wales, since we're in Europe, a mom, okay, you can appreciate this, Colleen, because I know you've got a daughter. What if you brought home a talking Barbie when she's like under 10 years old and she gets her to start going through the repertoire of whatever this talking Barbie says, and it says, "What the fuck?" The Barbie said, "What the fuck?" She grabs the doll and the kid's like, "Ah!" And she's like, Barbie just had a naughty moment. We're going to give her a timeout. And there's an actual internal investigation now at Mattel.
Well, someone was messing around. But if she really did not freak out, I mean, you got to tell someone because it's not appropriate. But if
Funny, hilarious,
it's hilarious. But you say, but the Barbie has to have a timeout is pretty damn good. I mean, that's not
That was quick thinking, Mom.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's some good parenting right there versus just completely having a cow.
Oh God, I know. I love that one because that one just. Did you guys? Speaking of that reminds me. Did you guys ever hear? You might be too young, Megan, but did you remember calling the swear bears? Did you ever see those?
No, we had eons and eons ago we had little bears dressed in leather. That actually didn't sell very well because you have your stuffed animal and then you have your little tiny leather G-strings and these cost a lot. But yeah.
Well, I remember Teddy Rumpskin or
Okay.
however his name was, the bear back when I was a kid, and people would program it to be
'Cause-
able to say terrible things.
I think if you still Google it, I think they're still out there somewhere. Somebody sent me one of these. Oh God, 15 years ago. They are so foul and so they're not only just swearing, they are so non-politically correct and it's in this high-pitched voice and they're so sick and wrong but so painfully funny. I just wondered if you'd ever seen those. Those are great. Google swear bears sometimes if you're bored. So before we get to the actual sex, really sex study stuff, because there was a lot of it that came out in this last couple weeks. Did you guys see the one? And this was in the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, about DNA and selecting mates, the big study about how we want people with a similar DNA. Did you hear about that one?
I run across a lot of stuff. Which one was this going for? That we try and find ourselves?
No, they basically just said that if they were to match up, they took 825 white American couples and they actually tested their DNA and then compared it to DNA of another person, one of their non-partners. And the DNA of the married people was closer in similarity to the ones that were not their partners. And they found this across the board, which I'm like, okay. And they were kind of taking the whole, you choose people of similar religion, race, age, income, stuff like that principle. They wanted to see if they could trace it down into your cells.
Oh, I think, they can make a study say anything, but for the most part, you tend to stick around people that are a lot like you.
I think so.
Yeah, so I don't know. You'd be at the whole causation correlation. I don't know. I wasn't a very good science student.
No,
I like
me
to
neither.
read. I love all the reading, but all the to just jump right into the stereotype pool. I sucked at the math.
Oh, for sure. Oh God, for sure. Well, and in a similar study, took this one was funny. They took BO samples, body odor samples from 21 people, and then made them sniff the other ones, and what they concluded was that you are more likely to be not offended by body odor from someone who shares your political beliefs than someone who does not. Who thinks this up?
No idea. I mean, I do know that. I mean, this is, the last body odor one I read is the fact that women who smell other women's deodorant, page, whatever, they will start cycling together. So there's got, I mean, human
I've
beings,
heard stuff like
yeah,
that.
human beings stink for a reason. You know?
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. All that kind of that goes back to your get over the body thing, doesn't it? And finally, on that note, Colleen, to bolster your point, you're going to love this. A Harvard researcher actually said, okay, because one day red wine is going to kill you, the next day it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and so on. So this guy at Harvard, he used a random text generator to write a phony study, and then sent it out and submitted it for publication and got it accepted in 17 medical journals.
Okay, so he just making shit up. I mean, that's,
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, that's always fun. My friends and I always say that we have degrees in MSU, but
I want one. I have one.
This guy actually does. I love this.
Well, but the pièce de résistance, and then we're going to move into something else here. The study was titled "Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs." No joke. This is real. This is absolutely 100% real. So there you go with that. And then,
oh my God.
And they're always, everybody likes to study sex because, well, let's just be honest.
Well, not Americans. I mean, if you actually attempt to get a politician to, finance something that, for something would actually help human beings.
Yeah.
Well, they're busy studying how our body odors, smell if we're Republican or Democrat, apparently.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Very important stuff.
That, and they're far more interested in how fruit flies screw than how we can improve our sex lives and our morale as a society. Some of the stuff though that came out, and we were talking, and I know you've heard a lot of this, Colleen, but it's kind of fun to see it when they put it in a little collection of 8 ways that sex can affect your brain. Okay. So the first one is they're saying, hey, it's like a drug, and they're tracing that back to the dopamine factor, and this bolsters the existence and the long-live fantasy gift enterprise out there because it's the same thing as caffeine, nicotine, and chocolate. They're likening those things. Well.
Yeah, I mean, things that make you feel good.
Hello.
These are good. It sort of goes together there.
Yep.
Which is one of the reasons why, when people, freak out over teaching like masturbation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a bodily function.
Yeah.
It feels good. It's good for your brain. It's good for your body. It's a good thing.
And there's no artificial chemicals unless you introduce them.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I suppose. I suppose if you want to have a bottle of Jack Daniels and a vibrator at the same time, I'm fine.
I was actually going down the lube path, but good point. Good point.
So that is okay, right? Because that's my Wednesday night.
And so the next one is the next 2 go together. Actually, the next 4 kind of conflict each other. Kind of cracks me up. One is sex can act like an antidepressant. And this was the one where they went in and said that without condoms, that the idea of the sperm actually coming in contact, with the female body was an actual mood lifter. But then they say, this is only for couples that have been tested and are in committed relationships. They don't want people running around having unprotected sex. So that was a dicey release. But they said, we have found this correlation to be true. But then they came out and said about a third of women participating in the study reported having postcoital dysphoria, which is they get depressed after. So some of them it's an upper, and some people it can occasionally act as a downer. And they said they cannot figure out why. They can't trace that one backwards. Any thoughts?
Just chemicals.
I mean,
I think wherever you start beforehand, I mean, is you could go up and then sometimes you could drop down farther.
The only time I've dropped down after sex is if it was really bad.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say.
I was saying if it, yeah. I mean, okay, I figured someone would jump all over that one, so I was going through there. But I mean, it can be a good thing. But if you and study after study says sometimes you just got to get into it to finally enjoy it. But there's never 100%. I think that's what folks are, looking for here, and why studies do that. I mean, there were 7 billion people on this planet. We are different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're different, and it's just frustrating when you get that sort of, everyone should do this, or this happens, and everyone just goes, I read this, or this conflicts with this. no, things can be different. It's okay.
Yeah, well, and you know what I think too, though, is, and I think it happens to the best of us, even in good relationships that we're happy. And I think people get into little ruts, and I think we're looking for, and you probably have something in your store called this, but a magic bullet. Like, is there something I don't know? And if you don't, we need to get something.
Oh yeah, I think that that name has been used. I don't think it's been trademarked, 'cause I think I've seen it a couple times. In fact, the bullet vibes have always been very, very popular. I think it's because, they get the job done and they're not intimidating. Yeah, and they're unisex. So there's not, wherever you can manage to put it, but but you really want to avoid, if you have a bullet on a wire, to use it anally, because it just could, it can get lost or break off.
You are all about securing safety. Yes.
So people like that, I'm like, oh, this is not where you want to put that. This is not.
Then you have to do this.
Yeah.
The next one, actually, this is a standalone. Sex relieves pain, and this I know have much to say on. They're saying that in a 2013 German study, 60% of the people who participated that had migraines, and 30% of people who have cluster headaches, and those are a bugger. I have friends that get those. Those are like debilitating, man. Said that those that had sex during a headache reported at least partial relief, if not total, which I thought was really interesting. What do you have to say? And and the G-spot was key to the women respondents.
Well, once we were talking about if some of the cluster headaches and all this, because I have migraines every now and then, and I know friends that are just buried under their covers when they can't handle it. If it's tension related, something like that, I can certainly agree with, how that could work out. Because if your body can get relaxed, if you can get the dopamine, if you can get the hormones flying through your body that might be blocked, I would certainly, say this is a study that I would go, hey, yeah, that one makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned in one of our early shows, Colleen, you were talking about the relationship between cancer and needing lube, and how, if people do mention that they're suffering in some way with that you guys that's a red flag for you to recommend, certain things. In a situation like this, and I suppose this could translate to other types of pain and things like that, would you say something, besides dryness stuff, would you just say do anything for the pleasure factor, or would you direct them down specific paths of pleasure seeking and or toys? Well,
if you're on your own, that's when a vibrator or a toy or something would, will be useful, and to get you to, because they're probably talking about here the actual orgasm.
Yeah.
Getting through there. And since that doesn't happen a lot, during just regular vaginal, penis sex, and no matter how much people would, like to believe that it's a whole body experience, you're going to want to have the proper toy, or what works for you. What you find enjoyable. And if you're, with a partner to help them out, it might be, it might be different. I mean, it might not be as vigorous, or it might be more vigorous, or I'm sure that if you work through it, as a couple, then you're going to be able to figure out how to get through what you're going through, whether or not it's cancer related or headache related or arthritis related, is that there's just no, I know I always sound like a broken record, but you're talking about communication once again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's just the physical release. And then, and it's so much easier to fall asleep too.
Yeah, well, and that's an interesting, it's an interesting.
It's just like, it's not a stereotype for just guys.
No, amen, sister. But that's an interesting point, because you stress on a regular basis across a variety of topics that we hit on here in the Gr8Nrthrn Sexcast, that you got to talk about stuff before you buy something and take it home and surprise a partner, things like that. But what another interesting realm of conversation with regard to a couple's sex life is if someone's going through some sort of pain related issue, it's like, hey, is there one particular way of going about having sex that helps versus another? And you can order that on occasion if you need it, I suppose. When you think.
Yeah, it's might have to change to where you're on your side, or someone's on top this time, or maybe it's just a mutual masturbation. There's just a lot of different ways for mutual satisfaction for both folks.
And the mutual masturbation does not include watching the Talking Heads on Sunday morning. No.
We're not going to judge, though, if that's what it involves for you.
No, that's all they do with each other. It drives me nuts. Okay, the next two cracked me up, and I think these paired interestingly together, Colleen. On one hand, they talk about sex wiping your memory clean. Have you ever heard of global transient amnesia? It hasn't come up in any of my recent conversations. You?
No.
I guess I don't remember if it did.
Oh, look at how quick you are. Yeah, no, but this happens, and they can't attribute it to any other neurological condition, but they have found that it can be brought on by vigorous sex. And it sounds like something that you would need antibiotics for. It is not an STD, but they have linked them together. And the only good news in this, besides being perplexing, is that there really is no lasting effects. It does come back, but you just have this, this amnesia, temporary amnesia after sex. Weird.
Sometimes could be helpful, though.
Yeah.
You don't want to remember
And
what
this
just happened.
This again doesn't go back to the Jack Daniels part of the equation.
No.
This is different.
No comment.
In the next portion of it, they talk about sex boosting your memory, right? Okay, so now we're going to lose. I know it's like this is a minefield here, but in rodents, like right? See, I told you they like to study animals. They found that they gave some rats one night stands, and that's it. That's all you get. And then they put other ones in situations where they got to have what they referred to as chronic sex once a day for at least 14 days consecutively.
Is that some sort of marriage thing, where you have like sex for every 30 days? all those pledges that people make. The rats get to have sex every day. What?
It sounds like a weird transference, but yes, I think is what they did to him. Yeah, so once a day. So the ones that were getting it on, consistently, they actually could tell that they grew more neurons in their hippocampus, which of course I went immediately there and I'm like, ooh, tickle my hippocampus. But yeah, so the rats actually got better memories, and then they went again and tried it in mice and found the same results. Isn't that weird?
Well, I know that they were putting little, false memories in rats and mice and stuff like that. So that includes sex. There was a study I read where they were giving mice little memories of threesomes. And I didn't really quite know how when I was listening to it on the radio, and I didn't catch the whole thing. So studying a rat having sex for when do people get to sign up to be the human studies on this sort of stuff?
Well,
because that would be a lot. That could be more fun.
Well, I know. And that's what the Masters and Johnson thing. Have you guys watched Masters of Sex at all?
I watched the first season, yes.
Yeah, I've watched both, and it's really good.
Really good.
And the actors and I think the writing is great. But I mean, what those people were doing at the time that they were doing it is absolutely astounding. And they suffered and went through a lot of stuff to be able to do it. But the thing, I got tickled when I was thinking about this. If you're trying to get somebody, the other partner who's maybe not in the mood, I would throw this one out there and say, do you want me to get Alzheimer's? Come on. I can't do just crossword puzzles.
Well, physical activity,
Yeah.
I think that's what we're, getting down to it, to some is that, whether you're, if you could just, one of the things that you're doing, go for a walk, come back, you're all sweaty, you like how each other smell, and then do it. I think this is what we figured out here.
Right.
Today is that you should get a little sweaty and then get more sweaty.
I agree. And the treadmill isn't the only way you can do that. Mm-hmm. And Colleen, you already hit on the sex makes you sleepy. It's easier to sleep. And they did prove it in this regarding women and men. So you were right. And you thought ahead on that one. And the last one just cracked me up because of what they used for examples in here. Sex calms you down. They were linking in the same study frequent sex to a brain boost in rats, and also found a lowered stress level across the board in the ones that were getting busy all the time. And so with humans, they did test it, and they said, okay, we're going to make you do something stressful now right afterwards. And a good button for a lot of people is public speaking. And the people that had just had sex were like, okay. And the other people were like, which public speaking frequently appears before death on a list of things that people fear.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out, so Okay, so you have sex, and then you're like, okay, now we're gonna. Who are you speaking to, and what are you speaking about? I mean, do they give you note cards?
They're just telling them they're going to have to do it, and
Oh,
they got
oh.
less. They didn't.
Oh, okay, didn't actually. Okay,
They didn't set up a podium or anything.
Oh,
They just no. They just thought they made the people think that they were going to be forced to talk in front of a group about something in a couple minutes. They were like, yeah, okay, whatever. I thought that was great. So yeah, I couldn't wait to run those past you. And when we had Liz in here on our last show with the sex parties, this is classic.
Okay, that sounds a little awkward there. The sex parties,
Discussing the in-home party
the
services
in-home parties for the yeah, okay, yeah.
or fantasy gifts.
Everyone keeps their own keys. They don't go in a big
Right.
bowl.
Yeah.
At least not till after Liz leaves, I guess.
We have no idea what happens after Liz is leaving. That's up to the hostess or host.
I sincerely appreciate the clarification coming from both of you, by the way. I that did sound rather wrong. You know how, and I'm sure you guys had this in college, a lot of campuses will charge, either it's along with your tuition. It's like a student activity fee that goes along across the board, and it pays for the intramural stuff, all sorts of different things. Well, Cal State LA found themselves in some rather hot water recently. Because there was a flyer for an event promoting this evening that was called Sex Toys R Us. And college administration didn't know this was going on, but in fact, this was sponsored by a group using those funds across the campus. So some of these flyers made it the way to parents who are paying tuition, and they had an absolute screaming meltdown about it.
Oh my God, my children might learn about sex. Oh, God,
Right.
drives me
Right.
insane. What will I tell the kids? I don't know. Tell kids that people have sex. Tell kids how to have a healthy sex life.
Yep.
I mean, the you don't need to know about. You don't need to know about. It leads to just absolutely atrocious relationships, and without any sort of. I mean, I just, it is. The fact that people will try and just excise sex
Yeah.
from like, how do you think you got your kids? You had sex.
That's a good point. I forgot about that.
And if you want, if you want to teach your kids healthy things, they're going to need to know a variety of subjects so they can figure out what's going on, because they are.
Okay, Colleen's getting a headache now.
These are adults. They are in. They are in school. They deserve information.
Well, okay, get this. Let me see if this changes. Okay, it was sponsored by both an LA adult store, so something similar probably to Fantasy Gifts. I don't know to what extreme though. Gender and then the group was Gender and Sexuality Resource Center on campus. These are the two entities that were going to use the money from the fees for the student activities to put this thing on. So there's been one of the things that one of the parents pointed out, and I wonder if this has any effect on your feelings here. There are actually 2 high schools on the campus that could have also been, seen the advertisement for this and possibly attended. However, one of the organizers said, hey, I was going to check IDs. Because you guys would sell to an 18-year-old.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
So
I
to
mean, if you're
18-year-olds all the time.
Yeah. And
It's like a rite of passage. There's not a lot that you can do when you turn 18 anymore. And so they do tend to, come on in, and we can always tell because they're giggling. But for the most part, 18-year-olds today are not idiots.
yeah.
I mean, people might want to think they're idiots. They are not. They have access to all the knowledge in the world. They want to ask questions. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
And if as a parent, if you're bullshitting in them,
Yeah.
they know.
Yeah.
And, I would much rather have trust. I mean, nobody needs to know details
Yep.
because everyone's, in their private life. But, yeah, of course they're going to check. I mean, just common sense once again.
Well, and I think, I thought it was interesting because I stepped back for a moment when I was reading this. I thought, okay, they're complaining that the under 18-year-olds, like the freshmen, whatever, would see this. But if they indeed did check the IDs at the door and the young kids that were not 18 couldn't get into the event, I know the parents are going to say, yes, but they know it's out there. Well, they're going to see that stuff walking down the street anyway.
Or turn on a TV
Yeah,
or
yeah,
the
yeah,
internet.
There are billboards in LA
Yeah.
for stores. I had billboards years ago. There's product placement. I mean, in
That
everywhere.
certainly is an
So-
interesting term when it comes to fantasy gifts, but I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's they really truly think that their child is that, ignorant, I'm glad that the child's actually going to school and learning something.
I understand if they feel their tuition dollars are going to a sex toy party versus something that's more educational, like how to be safe, how to use condoms. But the idea that something like that can't happen on campus, I think, is certainly a little ridiculous.
Well, and if you've ever sat on any kind of a committee, which I'm on a homeowners association board, holy moly. I mean, it is really hard to make a decision across the board that's going to make everybody in a large group happy. I mean, it's really hard. In fact, tonight, guess what we're doing tonight? We've got the first time we've been finally just imposing fines, for people, because we're kind of a young board, young association. And two of the topics on the docket tonight, one is airborne feces. Someone threw dog poop off the roof. And how do you defend that? I mean, really? I mean, I can't wait to hear this, okay? Even though I do have other things I prefer to do with a Tuesday night. But and then the other one had to do with an actual, like a physical confrontation. And we saw the video. I mean, we saw it on the surveillance camera. So they're going to come and dispute this. It's like, well, this ought to be good. The one thing I do like about my fellow board members, we drink wine.
That's the way to do it.
No, my mom is on the board of her condo. And they're dealing with the things that the HVAC was installed wrong, like 8 years ago. I don't think they've had to deal with any dog feces yet, but I'll warn her that this could happen.
Please do, and tell her not to be shocked. Although I doubt there's little that would.
No, my mom is the one that makes sure all the DVDs that come in or that someone says is scratched. She watches them to make sure that they are scratched or not. So, and she used to be a nurse. So
I love your mom.
Oh, so we get some product in yesterday, and in the product, remember I talked about that the buyer had said that this is the year of the dildo. Okay. And there was actually a catalog that was just it on the front of it was a whole bunch of dildos, and it said cock. And then you open it up, and it's just dildo after dildo. And I said, "Hey, Mom, look!" And she goes, "Oh." And I said, she goes, "Well, the ones I look at are real." And I just said, oh my God.
Nicely done.
And I'm like, okay, burned by mom.
I love it.
Burned by mom.
That just gives me an idea. Year of the dildo. Makes automatically the Chinese astrology pops to mind. We need to come up with one object to match all of the ones on the Chinese zodiac. And then we need to profile them. And then, you know what I mean? I think this should be one of our new little social media things. What do you think?
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, yeah, they already have Year of the Rooster. And you're the ram. I mean, the things are going, right in there. I couldn't figure out what you would get for Year of the Boar. That would be
something big. I think we've got that covered.
Well, they get a we're sorry that happened to you package. So here you go to help liven you up.
Yeah, snake's pretty easy. Sorry, you can see my brain's,
See, I knew this wouldn't be a stretch for this group of people. Let's think about that. All right, so Megan, talk a little bit about how, I know you manage a store, but you really do some great things with not only the Gr8Nrthrn Sexcast Facebook page. And if you haven't tried that, please go visit it. It's becoming literally one of my favorite places to check every day. Because I'll be honest with you, I get irritated when my friends at large just post stuff that they didn't create, that they found somewhere. I want to hear what they're doing. On our page is a little different because it's stuff related to what we talk about. So it's funnier than just about anything else that I find. So how did you find that you had an affinity for this?
I don't know. It was affinity as much as a willingness to take on the burden.
Isn't that how most of us get our jobs?
Yes. Well, and I think they were like, you're the youngest person in the office, so you understand all that technical stuff, right? And I'm like, no, computers are magical boxes with cat pictures. Like, that's all I knew. But, I definitely just kind of ran with it. And I've really been enjoying finding fun stuff to keep it interesting on our multitude of pages that we have right now. So,
and you do, in addition to the social media too, you're also working, Colleen was telling me, on some of the broader, more catalog aspects of the things that you do at Fantasy Gifts too.
Well, she works on the Hot Flash, which is the monthly newsletter that we send out to the employees. Just things are going through there. Here's what's new. Here's, we have a seminar coming up. Here's a reminder about I mean, stuff like, the time change is coming. Or, has anyone checked the outside lights yet to make sure they're working? So there's just the mundane stuff, but there's also here's what's new. Here's what we're getting rid of. Here's the things that's driving Colleen nuts. Here's the things that Colleen loves.
Right.
She'll talk to, everyone in this, in the office and say, what do we need to get out to everyone? And so there's the monthly one, but then she'll also, since we got computers in the store that we have our websites up on, you can actually buy stuff in the store, but it's also been a way to send out immediate information about stuff that's going on.
Okay. To customers?
Mostly to clerks.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And everyone's been on top of that, all the department heads, if they, instead of, taking the time to type up the memo and print it out and actually physically bring it to all 9 stores, we can just send a quick email, hey, we haven't been getting tags back. We need to do this, or you guys have been selling these like gangbusters. Good job. Or just a good way to get info out.
Well, if the monthly newsletter is called the Hot Flash, then those smaller ones that are more urgent need to be called Quickies. Come on.
I just sent out something I called a warm spot today. It's a mini Hot Flash.
Okay, I like that. I like it a lot. That's got a good vibe to it, so to speak. So, I'm just curious, when you're out and about, how often do you pick up on something customer related, like a preference or something that you start finding is a trend in stores? I mean, how often do you notice little patterns with buying and things like that, just on your own?
Fairly often, I guess, because I do bring out, inventory to at least 4 out of the 9 stores every Wednesday. And I'm like, wow, this Crystal is selling, this particular kind of butt plug like crazy. I keep bringing them more, and or now we have tail plugs, and we can't keep them in stock at Fridley. Everyone in Fridley wants a raccoon tail hanging out of their butt, and that's great.
Friendly Fridley.
Exactly, very friendly.
Oh my God.
Furry Fridley now as well. I
really?
think.
It's like a raccoon tail?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are actual raccoon tails or fox tails, and they're from roadkill. This is not
no actual foxes were intentionally killed.
No, yeah,
right.
Which is why sometimes we can get them in, sometimes we can't. It's not as though they're raising animals for these things.
Okay,
and it's been a fascinating. I'm like, this exists? I mean, this caught me off guard. Normally I'm like, oh yeah, run across something, this or that was going through there, but they came in one day and I walked in the back room and said, what? And I said, okay.
And then you had to pet all of them. Oh. Or maybe that was just me.
No comment. Okay. Well, okay. Here's what I have a question on. So how did you guys find out these things existed? I have never heard of this. Every week, there's at least one thing. I mean, how'd you find them? I mean, Colleen, did you know that you were going to be ordering these, or?
No. I long ago happily have, do not do the buying anymore. It's way too vast, and it would make my head explode. And that's why I have very competent people do that for me. No, I did not know they were. They may have chatted about them, but I wasn't really thinking about what it meant until that box opened up and I looked at them and said, "That's a tail on a butt plug." Now I've seen like the butt plugs that have in some of the catalog stuff. They have like a little silicone piggy tail. Or some
well, that's
things.
Utilitarian though, right?
Or a little bunny puff, stuff like that. But I did not know that that some of the other stuff existed until it just showed up in the warehouse.
I think the My Little Pony tails are the most amazing. Unfortunately, they are just ridiculously expensive. It's not practical, but they're.
What are they made out of?
I'm sure it's synthetic.
Okay,
but it's like bright purple.
Okay.
Just huge long ponytail out of this bejeweled butt plug, and unfortunately it's not practical for us to carry at all times because
is that a
the
website
market and the price?
Yeah,
but,
I mean we can special order most things and get stuff for folks, but I mean we have to be honest the fact that there's just a little under 5 million people in this entire state. Some places where there's other stores, there's 5 million people in the city.
Yeah.
And so we have to use a popular term right now, you have to curate what we have in the stores. And so and then you get like one thing in, and then the customers buy it, then they ask for more, and it's truly customer driven. A lot of the stuff.
And we mention this pretty often, I think, but it's worth noting here in this context that fantasygifts.com, you can order a lot of stuff and a lot more specialty stuff that you don't either have the room for or the demand to keep them in the stores, right?
Yeah, both places. And Megan's really helping on that, because I'll like, what are people asking for? And she'll say, well, we've got to get more of these harnesses on, or we need to get more stuff for women that are couples and stuff like that. And then I can focus on that.
Because I'm out in the stores, so I can hear customers talking, and either they're really excited that we have something or bummed out that we don't. And then if we don't, I can bring it to Tara, bring it to the buyer and say, hey, there's a demand for this product now. It showed up on Masters of Sex or on a TV show, or they featured it in Cosmo. So now people are going to be interested. So we want to, stay ahead of the curve and give people what they want.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the name of the game in retail, which, speaking of which, we're coming up to a red letter or a red heart day, Valentine's Day. Here we are. What's the update, guys?
Well, we did get, the stuff is showing up. It's showing up late. Yesterday, we got 2 enormous pallets of stuff in, and we got it all done. It'd be going out on Wednesday. We got some great just single order items in, special orders. We got some G-Spot vibes. We got some aluminum vibes that were a special buy. There's a brand new line coming out. Of tiny little egg vibes. I'll try and snap. None of the stuff is going to be on the fantasygifts.com website because it's a special order, but we will snap pictures and get some info and put it on the Gr8Nrthrn Sexcast page so that people can see that. And I'm telling you, I did the receipts over the weekend, and people are celebrating early.
Are they?
And this is a good thing, and it was all around. I mean, the lingerie is selling, the toys are selling, the dildos are selling. It's been a lot of fun, because I think it's been a long time since, with the economy and everything, that people have really felt the need to pamper themselves, and that's what it is. And they're pampering themselves, and I just think that's important.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, it's funny. I live downtown, and you've got the downtown store, and so in following your instructions that you really want everybody to follow if they're going to go out and invest in some stuff, I talked to the boyfriend about a couple of things that we've discussed on the show, and I said, okay, I want to get this, and this, and so I've been given an approved shopping list, so I'm going to head to downtown and go get my stuff done. So I'll have to have an update after I go shopping, but B, let you know what I think of some of the stuff. Let me just ask you too, little bit more information on the G-Spot vibes. How is that different from something, some of the stuff that's been so crazy, like the rabbits or something like that?
Well, G-Spot has definitely been very popular. I think it's increasing in popularity as women become aware that it is a thing, it exists, and it is awesome to play with. So, I mean, the big thing with the G-Spot vibe is really anything with a curved tip to it. That is what's going to give you the G-Spot. And a lot of people actually find it's almost like the backside of the clitoris is where you're applying the pressure, and so that's where a lot of the pleasure and excitement comes in. Okay. Do they have, this is a lame question probably, but do they come with instructions? No, they do not, but we do have plenty of instructional videos.
Oh, okay.
Jessica Drake's Guide to the G-Spot and Female Ejaculation.
Okay.
We've got books about it as well, and honestly, we can show you. I mean, it's pretty simple, put curve. Put your finger in and curve, like you're beckoning someone toward you.
Okay.
Come hither, and then when you feel a spongy pad of pressure that
feels really good,
puts strange tingles when you touch it, you're in the right spot.
Yeah, and a lot of the with our new website too, we can embed videos. So a lot of the higher end items that we're going through that need a little bit more explanation, I am in fact embedding the videos. So if you're looking, you see a G-Spot vibe, see a video, done really well. Says this is how it works. This is what's going on.
Okay. Well, I mean, and I think that's a question that a good portion of people would have, if they're going at this in the first, it's like they probably stumbled upon it accidentally a few times in their lives, but they're like, okay, if I'm going in specifically on a mission, I need a map. How does this work? And I want instructions. Shifting over to lesbian gift ideas for Valentine's Day. Is there some specific, because this was brought up in our prep conversation beforehand. What would you suggest?
Well, we actually have a lot of really nice lesbian gift ideas. I think one of the best items we have right now that I'm really proud of, I think the company should be proud that we're carrying, is the rodeo. Okay. They're strap-on harnesses that are made like they're comfy cotton undies, either briefs or more of a traditional panty style, and they have a ring where you can insert the dildo, and then you just wear them like sexy underwear.
Oh, wow.
But it's also a strap-on harness.
Oh.
And a lot of people find them to be a lot more comfortable, a lot sexier. You can just wear them, all day as regular underwear before you're ready to, put them to
and
full use.
We have some of the styles in the stores,
okay.
And then we also have more online. The company itself is growing, and so a lot of the times when something is ordered, we might have to check into it. But we'll get, we'll tell you what's available. We'll, if you want to, invest in some, pieces that we're not carrying in the stores, but they are. I mean, the fabric is spectacular. They
really?
They're so soft.
You just want to rub them all over.
I'm sure people do.
Yes.
They come in and we're like, ooh. like, feel this. So not only do we, not only
how many times a day do you guys say that at Fantasy Gifts?
Actually,
feel this
a lot.
Yeah.
We got the it's called the G-Spot Tickler Vibe. This was a special order item we got in just for Valentine's, and I was looking at it. I'm like, okay, I can't tell whether the surface is bumpy or smooth, but it's just the finish on it. So we crack one open, and everyone's going, we're touching the this is going to be our sample one. So we're like, oh, this is. Everyone's like, oh, ooh. And sometimes it's just, or we get a new vibrator. We get the testers in. We put the not only we just stick the dildos to the wall, we'll put the batteries in the items, and we try and figure out how it's going. We're like, this feels great. Where you give it a good squeeze and it's still vibrating, or you're noticing that it's vibrating at the tip, and we're like, here, pass this along, or check this out. And we're like, oh, did you see this? And we're just going, and we're like, okay, we need to get back to work now. But then it occurs to me, it is work. Because if it's gonna, we're here. I'm using my name. Megan's using her name, but it's a family business. If it's going to be in my stores, I want to know that it's a good. I want to know that it's a good thing.
My favorite recently was when we discovered that one of our new handheld masturbators smelled like, Jägermeister.
Oh,
essentially.
Seriously?
So we're running around with this vagina. Hey, smell this vagina. What does this smell like to you? Oh, it smells so good. It's an added bonus.
Is this the one that you were talking about, Colleen? I just want to see it in the box here. Okay, so is this this is a G-Spot tickler vibe?
Yep, it's because it's got that curve hook on the end, so it's perfect for the G-Spot.
Okay, and so this feels like, what is it, like metallic or what?
Yeah, it's a metallicized plastic. It's a hard plastic. It's a body safe material. It's a very good simple toy. It's not something that it's gonna it attacks your brain. When you put the batteries in, you turn it on, it's gonna do what you want it to do.
Okay.
The cool thing with G-Spot toys too is a lot of people will use them as a couple's toy. So if you're with your partner, because it's got that curve, you can reach down and actually still reach special places. So you can give yourself like clitoral stimulation during intercourse, because you take that little hook and you can just hook right in, and so it's got a couple different uses too. So not just for on your own.
Okay. And I just noticed something here which makes perfect sense to me, but I've never heard of it before. There's actually a mention on this one here too, and this is a cute, non-intimidating looking toy. The G-Spot tickler is, but it suggests cleaning it with something called Pipe Dream Toy Cleaner. So they actually make specific sex toy cleaners.
They do.
Okay.
And really, if you want an extra, cleaning, that we do sell, several different brands. You can, wipe over the toy. Mm-hmm. But a lot of things like a silicone dildo, stuff like that can actually, I mean, just hot water and soap. Mm-hmm. Some of them you can put in the dishwasher, the glass, the glass ones, the silicone, the metal ones, stuff like that. But just for an extra edit, but a decent warm water and soap. Okay. Just like washing your hands.
Cleaners are really good in particular when you, like for masturbators, mm-hmm. Because we have foaming cleansers. Okay. So you spray it out and it just kind of foams and fizzles up, almost like, looks like shave cream when it's foamed. Sure. So you can just put a couple pumps right in the hole and just let it sit for like an hour and just do its thing and then rinse it out. So it's especially easy for people, I don't want to say guys, but maybe guys that are a little more lazy about stuff like that, properly taking care of things.
There's not it's an innie. Mm-hmm. And it's and there's crevices,
right?
And you got
to get in those crevices.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. So before we shift rather to the to staging aspect of this, I just want you guys to speak about what's a position wedge?
Okay, the Burnsville and the Coon Rapids stores have on their displays. It's pieces of foam that are sturdy foam. They're in a wedge or a column, and they're just going to help keep you in the position that you want. If you're having a problem with your lower back or legs, or you want or if you need to be in a particular position and it's more difficult, it instead of just taking all of your
pillows
and shoving on, which squish down, these are a much firmer foam.
Yep, it's a firmer foam pillow. All of our stores carry at least one size, but those two, Burnsville and Coon Rapids, we actually have beds set up that are covered in all different kinds of sizes. They'll have our largest selection. But, people hear the name, like the brand name Liberator has been very popular. We carry a slightly different brand that just people love. It's great a lot of times for like G-spot, to go back to the G-spot, because you can get your hips up and angled in the right position. Okay. A lot of people who have different disabilities or health concerns that make it harder for just more traditional sex positions really enjoy them as well. It's very useful for their sex life.
And I mean, so the question follows there, are those easier to clean? Because let's just be honest, most of us don't put our regular pillows that we sleep with underneath our heads into the washing machine very often. Right. So are these ezy to...
Oh, yeah, they have fabric covers,
mm-hmm.
which can be...
You can unzip it and
mm-hmm.
throw it in the wash.
Okay, mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's, they always talk about, bed bugs.
Right.
It's like this is another issue, kind of in that whole thing. So which one of you kind of had the ideas? You were talking about creating scenes with little gift ideas and doing some staging with rose petals and candles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we heard a lot about that. We had, during our last seminar, someone came in from a company that we carry that was talking about it. And we just love the idea of all the little things you can do to sort of create your own romance novel, if you will. Mm-hmm. The partner comes home and you've got a candlelight dinner set up and there's pheromone-infused rose petals sprinkled on the table. And
yes.
So you can eat and then get in the mood with the pheromones in the air and bring them up to the bath and give them, a nice massage with the warming massage oil. And lots of different ways that you can really accentuate sort of even just the foreplay in particular to make it kind of a very romantic and special evening.
Okay. So we talked last week about, and I was fascinated by this. This is on my shopping list. It's the pheromone sprays that you use for sheets. And I can't wait to try those. I mean, what a cool idea. But I didn't even think about doing that for rose petals and putting them out into the more open area of the living room.
Yeah, definitely. Or lead a trail from the bathtub into the bedroom, a trail of rose petals for them to follow. And
I mean, a lot of things. The reason they're tried and true because they work. Mm-hmm. Setting the mood. Setting the mood. Taking everything and shoving it in a closet so that the room's, the floor is clear to get to the bed, or the floor is clear to do it on the floor. I mean, just the few extra moments for either partner to appreciate the other person, saying, I carve this time aside for you.
Sweet.
For us, as going through there. And even if it's just, if bacon, macaroni, and cheese is your favorite meal, then you make, that's, it's going through there. Or having dinner, once it's tepid, without utensils.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Because food is, food is also sensual. I mean, you just, it's tactile. There's a smell. There's everything about that. I would, keep it away from below the waist because, that gets a little nasty. Mm-hmm. But, it is. Everything about a meal, just leads to,
and then you have each other for dessert. We've got Mood, the Mood brand of like lickable body glides and massage oils that have flavors and they're warming, and you just pour it on and lick it off and see where it takes you.
Perfect. I love it. Well, we have to do our Gr8Nrthrn Sexcast book review here. And this title, this is a beautiful thing. It's called Mystery of the Undercover Clitoris. What's it about? As if there's any doubt.
It is about the clitoris, yes.
Okay.
It's actually a really cool book. It's by the doctor who made Tickle His Pickle, which was, I know, a big hit in podcast past. So it's pretty similar, where it's going to go through all these different things, like even down to foreplay and setting the mood, like we talked about. When to use lube, what to not use for lube. And then there's illustrated guides of different techniques and tricks and little pictures you can follow. A guy can flip open a page and is like, stick his hand there and be like, oh, that looks fun. Here's a picture. Let's give it a whirl and see if you like it. So.
And you guys do pretty well with books, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the how-to. I mean, we do have a selection of erotica, which is pretty darn sexy. I flip through them and say, okay, like we have to go back to work now.
But that is work for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just fascinating what is considered work, because I'm like, well, which vibrator should I put on the webpage today? I'm like, well, that looks interesting, and I'm like, well, other people might find this other one. I'm like, oh, I can't put them all on. But when it comes to the books, we get some samples of those sometimes, or we'll order a few in. Well, everyone will sort of peruse through them. I'm like, okay, this is good. We should get this to all the stores.
Yep. Do you guys kind of vote on that kind of thing? Because, I mean, you've got a lot of people that circulate. Like, I know Michael, who comes in, is regular on the show with us, too. I mean, do you guys pretty much collaborate on choosing?
Well, there's a Thursday meeting, and Tara will bring stuff there and say, this is sort of what I'm looking at, and people will play with them, or we'll get a sample box in, and people will go through, and we'll go through there. But at one point, you just have to make a decision.
Okay.
And so we will leave, Liz and Tara and Tim to some extent to say, yeah, this is what we're going to get.
Okay. Right. Because otherwise you'll have too many cooks.
Yeah.
And they all want different utensils.
Yeah. Too many cooks in the bedroom.
Yep. And, and I try and, occasionally we'll get a new catalog in, and I'll just grab a couple Post-its and I'll say, oh, this has been around forever. So that means either A, it's still selling, you might want to take a look at it, or, find other different things. But I will leave it to them, because there's a million things. Mm. There is a limited budget. And there's just only so much you can do. Which, like I said, once again, why we did all the extra websites. We have the partner website, which is, Fantasy Gifts MN, because that's through one of our distributors. So there's like 12,000 items on there.
Yeah.
Even they don't carry everything from some other companies, because that's what I'm noticing. I got to make sure the prices are the same on both things.
For sure.
And there's just so much. I could fill a super Target.
I know.
I have to admit. Lately we're coming up with this, like, we'll put it on the lottery list. I mean, there's a lot of things we want to get. I joke and say we'll put it on the lottery list. I win that $480 million. oh God, could I design a store? Oh.
An emporium, a virtual emporium. Mm-hmm. I got we're wrapping up here on the Gr8Nrthrn Sexcast for this week, episode 7, Real Social Media, with our special guest Megan, who came in and kind of gave some insight. I love it, to the brains behind the really funny stuff that's on our Facebook page, and thank you for your hard work. But I got kind of tickled this last week because someone's auntie associated with the network, who was kind of looking through the growing menu of shows that we have here live and social. And she said, well, the Sexcast, I won't be listening to that one. And I thought, oh, that's too bad, because I think she, could use it, number one. but too, I mean, and I know you go up against that all the time, Colleen.
No, we have a lot of. I have very good friends that don't like the Fantasy Gifts page itself or the Great Northern Sexcast, and I understand that, because if they've got a lot of different people on their pages or their social media.
Oh, you mean hit like?
Yeah, hit like.
Okay, like. Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying they're not going to hit the like, because even though we keep it at PG-13, we really do. Because we're going through there. I understand it's going through there. Just that's their decision, and it's just fine. But and to some extent, I may have said the word cock on the air here, but we're not particularly the most graphic either. It's a conscious decision to something that Fantasy Gifts has made, that we're just going to try and be honest and fun about things, and not crude or whatever I want, salacious.
Yeah,
salacious. Yeah.
I know the Facebook page we try to keep like the stores, where it's fun.
Yep.
Informational, and I think the right mix of class and crude, and not crude in a bad sense, but that we do sell sex toys. Sometimes we will post a picture of a sex toy, but it's generally not phallic or anything that's gonna shock your minds when you are scrolling through your news feed.
The one that absolutely I fell off the couch laughing, and I just kind of popped up, and it was the first thing that came in my feed, was you found a cartoon comparing men's facial hair to female pubic hair.
Oh, right.
And the evolution from the 70s until now, where one goes from very hairy to bald, and the other one goes the other way to very hairy, which is men's beards right now. And it's just, the cartoon is just hysterical. And we just sat and laughed, and that's the kind of stuff, and it's very light and very, very cool. And, Colleen, I think it goes across all the podcasts that I know of and that I'm involved with across the board. We might say, like, we had a news story earlier in the show talking about a Barbie saying, "What the fuck?" It's like, we don't drop swear words just because we can. Only when it's like really relevant to to what's going on, and why? We have better words. We have other words, right?
Yeah,
we can use our words.
Yeah, we can use our big girl words. Yes,
exactly. So, all right, guys, countdown to Valentine's Day. Any final thoughts?
Well, we're going to be bringing stuff out to the stores all the way until late Friday night. There's still some things that are on their way. So we expect to be very... Okay, I get to say busy beavers. Really, sometimes I'm like 13
You took
again.
the easy shot. Yes, you did.
Whatever. And we're just going to be going like crazy. We just, if you've got questions, you can leave them at the Facebook Fantasy Gift site. You can leave them at the Great Northern Sexcast site. We do have, we set up the Great Northern Sexcast Twitter site.
Yep, GN Sexcast on Twitter.
Okay.
That's one thing I did not screw up, and so she was able to set that up nicely. Just going through there, we look forward to a really fun. It's a fun week.
It is.
Because this may be the time, the one or the two times that someone comes into a store, and so we just want to make sure that that they have a good time. That they find the right thing we're going through there, and there might be a little bit of a line because there's only so many registers, so many clerks that I have. But for the most part, everyone has always been really kind. My favorite thing is, and I may have mentioned this before, is that when we first opened the Bloomington store, it was right next to a flower store. Okay. And so the folks would pull up, and we could see them walking towards the flower store, and then they would see that we opened up. And so the guys would come into the Bloomington store. They would pick out what they want. They would stand in line, next to a dozen other people. And then instead of going right next door to get the flowers, every single one of them went to their car, put their sales in the car, and then went to the flower store and stood in line right next to the same guys.
That's hilarious.
And to some extent, that it's still the same.
Well, and we like to say, flowers die and chocolate melts, but great sex is a gift that keeps on giving. So
here, and I will just note and to close out the Valentine's Day countdown here for the Great Northern Sexcast is the National Retail Federation just came out, in the last couple of weeks, and estimated that Americans will spend $700 million this year for Valentine's gifts for their pets. So if you can do that for Fido and Fluffy, come on, man. Come see us. Say hi.
Oh, we got to get into some of that. maybe we need to get little outfits for the doggies.
Yes.
Right.
Next show, Colleen. Next show. Great Northern Sexcast. We'll see you next week, everybody.